Hey everybody, good morning. Good to be here. Good to actually have been able to make it on screen this morning. Um, for those of you who were here yesterday, sorry about the tech issues. We're not entirely sure what happened. Just one of those.
It's a really blustery day, so the doors are slamming everywhere. We can go ahead.
Okay, Kyra Jules back. So yeah, we're just doing the intro. Yeah, so that was yesterday. Thank you for all of you who came over to Zoom. And yeah, and thank you to Kyra Jill for sorting that out for us yesterday as well. So hopefully everything today will go a bit more smoothly. So we are here for an hour again. What we've decided, after we had quite a few requests yesterday to continue with yesterday's theme, so we're going to do that. So we'll have a bit of a shorter intro and a longer meditation today, just to be able to finish off what we started yesterday. And then, as usual, we'll go into a period of questions and answers at the end of the session. If you like to come on screen, we can try that. I actually had some advice from Amy yesterday, my colleague here at Sangha Live, that actually, despite what we've always said, Safari actually seems to be working best for coming on screen. So if anybody would like to come on screen, Safari is probably your best bet to actually get it working. So if you're using Safari, that would be good. If you would rather put your question in writing, there's the option to do that as always. Put your question in the Ask a Question box down there, and we'll see that pop up, and Kyra Jill can answer that question for you. So that's the session structure this morning. A brief word about Dana. We have ongoing running costs that we do need to meet. We only get money from you guys. We don't get it from anywhere else. So we're entirely dependent on your donations to be able to continue to bring these daily meditation sessions to you during the lockdown period. So if you're able to give anything at all, whether it's a large amount or a small amount, everything really helps make a difference, helps support us in bringing these sessions to you every day. It means we can pay for the cost of this platform. It means we can pay for our email marketing software, for all the ongoing admin costs that we have to pay for. So yeah, many thanks in advance if you're able to give anything at all. Green donation buttons just under the video there. And half of what you give will help to support Kyra Jill, who's been kindly sitting in for Martin while he's recovering from COVID. Yeah, so much appreciation for that. So I'm going to take myself off now, and hopefully we will have a tech problem-free session today. Enjoy the session, everybody.
So, welcome everyone. It's good to see you again. And glad we can see each other, hear each other. And thank you so much, Caroline. So today we will continue with the theme from yesterday, since we didn't get to finish the meditation, all the steps of the meditation at least. So I'll just offer a very brief reflection today so we have a bit more time to explore this meditation. So I wanted to just share a chant, a poem that we used to recite when I was a nun. This was every evening before we go to bed. In our evening sitting and chanting, we would recite this Impermanence Gata. And I thought of it given the contemplations on death and dying. It says, actually, I'll just chant it to you because to me, it's so beautiful chanted. But we would Someone put this to music. It goes, the day is now ended. Our lives are shorter. Let us look carefully. What have we done? Noble Sangha, with all of our hearts, let us be diligent, engaging in practice, so that life does not drift away without meaning. I'll try to share that in the chat with you. That's the impermanence gata. Coming through. So it's really an opportunity to reflect every single day that our lives are shorter. Our lives are a little bit shorter. So it's that sense from the meditation yesterday of seeing the sand flowing through the hourglass, that our lives are always, getting shorter and shorter. So it's something, if you want to copy that, it's also on YouTube. I'll send you the link for the song if you want to learn the song. I can't remember, Jamie something is the composer, but it's on YouTube. But it's a good thing to read to yourself every day before you go to bed. So we'll have a little more time at the end for questions. I know there were many we couldn't get to in the last couple days. But we'll go ahead and start the meditation. So for those who weren't here yesterday, this is a meditation that's from the Tibetan teacher Atisha, 9 Contemplations on Death. And the first 3 we did yesterday, I'll just put them in the chat as a reminder, but we won't go over them again today. Let's see if it'll go in the chat this time. Okay, so the 9 death contemplations, and A is for the first bundle of 3. That's the inevitability of death. And then the first contemplation is death is inevitable for everyone. We meditated on that. No one can escape death, no matter how famous, no matter how strong or powerful. Everyone dies. And 2, death will come whether or not we're prepared for it. Which in other lists is also known as our lifespan is continuously decreasing. So that impermanence gata helps us to see our lives are shorter every single day. We're getting closer and closer to our death. And then the third contemplation under that inevitability of death is the amount of time we have for spiritual practice is very small. If we add up all the ways we use our time, and that we really want to use our time wisely, since it's so limited and finite, that we want to take advantage and cultivate our minds as much as we can, so that when we do come to our death, we are calmer and more at peace. All right, so we'll continue with the meditation from there. So again, finding a position that's comfortable, that allows you to be relaxed and also upright. Allowing your mind to settle down right in this moment. Letting go of thoughts about the past or the future. And really giving rise to the determination to keep your mind focused on the topic of this meditation. And when you notice your mind doing something else, gently and with energy also bringing it back. So we move on today to the contemplation. This next grouping is on the uncertainty of the time of death. So by contemplating the first 3 points, we come to accept that we are definitely going to die. There's no escape. But you might think that death is not going to happen for a long time, that you have plenty of time. But why do you think Can you all hear me now? Great, thank you. Midge, that was a very short shower that I took. So, at what point did you hear me last? Was it if we died at a certain age, we would have plenty of time to prepare for death? Did you hear me say that? Okay. All right. So we'll move up a bit. Okay, the new part. So now we are looking at the certainty of the time of death. Thank you. Thank you all for your help. So we can't know for sure when we will die. So these are the following next 3 points to help us get a sense of how our time of death is completely uncertain and unknown. So the fourth of the 9 contemplations is that human life expectancy is uncertain. If humans died at a specific age, like 88, we would have plenty of time and space to prepare for death. But there's no such certainty, and death catches most of us by surprise. Life can end at any point, at birth, even before birth, in childhood, in adolescence, at the age of 22 or 35 or 50 or 94. So think of examples of people you know or have heard about who died before they reached the age you are now at. Being young and healthy is no guarantee that a person will live a long time. Children sometimes die before their parents. Healthy people can die before those who are suffering from a terminal illness, such as cancer. We can hope to live until we are 70 or 80, but we can't be certain of doing so. We cannot be certain that we will not die later today. It's very difficult to feel convinced that death could happen at any moment. We tend to feel that since we have survived so far, our continuation is secure. But thousands of people die every day, and few of them expected to. In your meditation now, generate a strong feeling of the complete uncertainty of your own time of death. How there is simply no guarantee that you have long to live. And we come to the fifth contemplation, that there are many causes of death. There are many different ways that death can happen to people. Sometimes death happens due to external causes. These include natural disasters such as earthquakes, floods, volcanic eruptions, or car accidents or plane crashes. People can also be killed by other people, by murderers, by terrorists, or by dangerous animals or poisonous insects. Death can also happen due to internal causes, and there are hundreds of different causes that can rob us of our health and lead to death. There are also cases of people who are not ill, but their bodies simply stop functioning and they suddenly die. Even things which normally support life can become the cause of death. Food, for example, is something we need in order to stay alive, but it can sometimes lead to death, as when people overeat or eat food that is contaminated. Medicine is another thing which normally supports life, but people sometimes die because they took the wrong medicine or the wrong dose. Houses and apartments enable us to live comfortably, but they sometimes catch fire or collapse, killing the people inside. Bring to mind cases of people you know or have heard about who have died, and think of how they died. Think that any of these things could happen to you as well. And now we come to the sixth contemplation, that the human body is very fragile. Our human body is very vulnerable. It can be injured or struck down by illness so easily. Within minutes, it can change from being strong and active to being helplessly weak and full of pain. Right now, you might feel healthy, energetic, and secure, but something as small as a virus or as insignificant as a thorn could become the cause of your death. Think about this. Recall the times you have hurt or injured your body and how easily it could happen again and even cause your death. Your body will not last forever. In the course of your life, you might manage to avoid illness and accidents, but the years will eventually overtake you. Your body will degenerate, lose its beauty and vitality, and finally die. By meditating on these second 3 points, we develop the determination to begin our practice of the spiritual path right now, as the future is so uncertain. So that is the awareness that human life expectancy is uncertain, that there are many causes of death, and that the human body is very fragile. And now we move on to the last set of 3 that are under the grouping that only spiritual practice can help us at the time of death. No matter how much we have acquired or developed throughout our life in terms of family and friends, wealth, power, travel experiences, and so on, none of it goes with us at death. Only our mind continues, carrying imprints of all that we have thought, felt, said, and done. It is vital that when we die, we will have as many positive imprints, which will bring good experiences, and as few unwholesome imprints, which will bring suffering, on our mind as possible. Also, we should aim to die at peace with ourselves, feeling good about how we lived our life, and not leaving behind any unresolved conflicts with people. The only things that will truly benefit us at the time of death are wholesome states of mind, such as faith, non-attachment, and calm acceptance of the changes that are taking place, loving kindness, compassion, patience, and wisdom. But in order to be able to have such states of mind at the time of death, we need to make ourselves familiar with them during the course of our life. And this is the essence of the Dharma, or spiritual practice. Realizing this will give us the incentive and energy to start practicing Dharma now, and to practice as much as we can while we still have time. You can experience a strong feeling of this reality by imagining yourself at the time of death and contemplating the following 3 points. This is the 7th contemplation. Your loved ones cannot help you. As you lie on your deathbed, or as the plane you're traveling in is about to crash, what kind of thoughts would come into your mind? Our strongest attachments are usually to our family and friends, so you would probably think of them and feel a strong wish to be with them. But even if they were present with you at the time of death, would they be able to help you? Although they love you very much and do not want you to die, they cannot prevent this from happening. In many cases, they may not know what to say or do that will give you peace of mind, and instead their sadness and worry about the coming separation will affect you, stirring up the same emotions in your mind. When we die, we go alone. No one, not even our closest, dearest loved one, can accompany us. And being unable to accept this and let go of our attachment to our loved ones will cause our mind to be in turmoil and make it very difficult to have a peaceful death. Recognize the attachment you have to your family and friends. See if you can realize that having strong attachment to people can be a hindrance to having a peaceful state of mind at the time of death. So it is better to work on decreasing this attachment and learning to let go. And I want to assure you that letting go of attachment does not mean indifference, and it does not mean that we don't love those in our lives. It means that we can allow space for ourselves and for others to be as they are. That there is freedom in our love. That we let go of the idea that we can control others or that we can have influence over whether they are happy or sad. The flow of their life is not up to us. But we can still love them with all of our heart. And the 8th contemplation. Your possessions and enjoyments cannot help. Your mind will probably also think of your possessions and property when you're at the point of death, which may have occupied a great deal of your time during your life and are a source of much pleasure and satisfaction. But can any of these things bring you comfort and peace at the time of death? Your wealth may be able to provide you with a private room in the hospital and the best medical care, but that is all it can do for you. We cannot stop death from happening. And when you die, you cannot take any of it with you, not even 1 cent or 1 article of clothing. Not only will your possessions be unable to help you at the time of death, but your mind may be caught up in worries about them. Who will get what, and whether or not they will take proper care of your things. So that will make it difficult to have a peaceful, detached state of mind as you're dying. Contemplate these points and see if you can understand the importance of learning to be less dependent on and attached to material things. And now we come to the 9th contemplation. Even your own body cannot help you. Your body has been your constant companion since conception. You know it more intimately than anything or anyone else. You have cared for it and protected it, worried about it, kept it comfortable and healthy, fed it and cleaned it, experienced all kind of pleasure and pain with it. It has been your most treasured possession. But now, as you are dying, that means you will be separated from it. It will become weak and eventually quite useless. Your mind will separate from it, and it will be taken to the cemetery or crematorium. What good can it possibly do you now? Contemplate the strong sense of dependence and attachment you have to your own body. and how it cannot benefit you in any way at death. Fear of pain and regret about leaving it will only compound your suffering. By meditating on these final 3 points, that our loved ones can't help us, our possessions can't help us, and our body cannot help us at the time of death, we can come to realize how important it is to work on reducing our attachment to the things of this life, such as family and friends, possessions, and our body. We should also realize how important it is to take care of our mind, as that is the only thing that will continue on after our death. Taking care of the mind means working on decreasing the unwholesome states of mind, such as discrimination, violence, attachment, and cultivating wholesome states of mind such as faith, loving kindness, compassion, patience, and wisdom. Furthermore, as the imprints of our actions in this life will also go with our mind and continue on, and will determine the experiences we will go on to have, it is essential to try our best to refrain from unwholesome actions and create wholesome, positive actions as much as possible during our life. It's possible that we will feel fear or sadness when doing this meditation. In one sense, that's wholesome because it means we've taken the ideas seriously and we've contemplated them deeply. But also, it's important to get in touch with how you feel about death so that you can work on being prepared for it when it happens. However, the purpose of the meditation is not to make you frightened. Just being afraid of death is not helpful. What is helpful is to not want to die with an unwholesome state of mind and a lot of imprints on your mind from unwholesome actions that you've done in your life. If we get a strong sense for how tragic it would be to die like that, we will be motivated to live our life wisely, doing as many positive, wholesome, beneficial things as possible. Also, fear arises because of clinging to the idea of a permanent self. But there is no such thing. So this is a delusion that just makes us suffer. If we keep death in mind in an easy, open way, this clinging will gradually loosen, allowing us to be mindful and make every action wholesome and beneficial for ourselves and others. Keeping an awareness of death gives us enormous energy to not waste our life, but to live it as effectively as possible. So we'll close this meditation giving rise to the optimistic, beautiful thought that each of us has every possibility to make our life meaningful, beneficial, wholesome. And in this way, we will be able to die with peace of mind. And we dedicate the merit of this meditation for the benefit of all beings. Dear friends, thank you for your practice. We now have some time for questions and discussion. I was able to paste in the chat the steps we just did, the last 6 contemplations, which follow on from the first 3 that I pasted earlier. So I'll answer the question from Hiltrude. If regularly contemplating death, is it still possible to feel a full, unimpeded joy in life? Or does it not rather lead to somehow detached or even melancholy kind of appreciation of life? So this is kind of shared at the end of the meditation, that when we contemplate death, we actually wake up to the preciousness of life. So the purpose of the meditation is not to make us sad or that life has no meaning, but the opposite, to make us really use our life to have as much meaning as we can while we still have it available. So it's a wake-up call. And basically the points of this meditation are just telling the truth. They're not depressing. They're not like trying to lead us to feel sad. They're just telling us the truth. And when we live in harmony with the truth, we have a chance to live our lives deeply and fully. But when we live in a delusion, we're not really in touch with life. When we think we're going to live forever, that we have plenty of time, or that, our bodies are strong now, so nothing can happen to them, then we're setting ourselves up for shock and anxiety and disappointment when those delusions inevitably fall away. But if we can preempt, it's like this is preparation so that when the inevitable happens, we're not caught by surprise, we're not caught off guard, and then we can be much more skillful, and we can use that experience of dying, of death, to also wake up, to keep practicing. But if we don't practice to contemplate it and prepare for it now, it will overwhelm us and we'll be taken away in the fear and the worry. So I hope that makes sense. Thank you for the question. So I'll answer Audrey's question. I've lost several family members in the last few weeks, including my dear aunt just over 2 weeks ago. I'm finding it difficult to come to terms with losses where I've not been able to say goodbye, or things felt unresolved because the loss was very sudden, violent, through difficulties of relationship or circumstances, or even being unable to attend the funeral. Do you have any advice for dealing with this? Thank you for this question. So, one of the things that can be very comforting to know is that even though our loved ones pass away, they continue on in us, and we can reflect on what it is that, what wholesome, positive qualities they had that we want to continue of theirs, so that we still feel connected, we feel like they're still alive in us. So you might think about your aunt and what were the things that she inspired in you, or the ways she supported you, or the ways that you were able to take refuge in her. Think about her strengths and how in ways you can carry those strengths on in your life. And in that way, her life hasn't ended, but it's continuing on in you and everyone who loved her. And in the case where you haven't been able to reconcile with those that have died because they died suddenly, or somehow things were left unresolved, it's possible to reconcile within ourselves. That's what is shared by Thich Nhat Hanh, that reconciliation first and foremost takes place within ourselves. So you can connect with this, whoever it is that you lost, connect with your love for them, and also with whatever hurt you have in regard to your relationship. And you can ask for forgiveness. You can offer forgiveness. One of the meditations I led a few weeks ago was on forgiveness. You could listen to that. There was another one on forgiving ourselves, on letting in grief. That would be a good one also. But it's possible for us to come to some resolution of our resentment, of our sadness, of our anger, of our hurt, by taking good care of ourselves in our meditation and allowing the emotions to be there and holding them with kindness. So it's possible to reach a reconciliation even with those that have died. This is from Consuelo. My own death never scared me much. Maybe it's just a self-defense, I don't know. What really makes me suffer is the death of my beloved ones. How can I deal with that? So that was what this meditation was inviting us to do, is to look at our relationships and our attachments, to see how we can practice now to really look with clear eyes that one day, we don't know when, we don't know how, we're going to die. And in the same way, those we love are one day going to die. And we need to really confront that reality, and as regularly and as often as we can, so that we're not living in resistance to it. And when we bring that to mind and we feel that sense of pain, for me, when I think of it, I think, what can I do today to reach out and connect to these people that I love? How can I help them feel my love for them as fully, as viscerally as possible, so that I won't have regrets if they die before me or if I die before them. So for me, that pain of thinking about my loved ones passing away, it motivates me to try to love them as much as I can today, so that I don't have regrets. I think one of the most painful things that happens when we lose people is regret, like our friend's question just before this. When someone dies and we haven't been able to resolve our difficulties with them, it's very painful. So thinking about that now and looking into our relationships and seeing, is there some, is there some unresolved issues that we still have, then we want to look at those and try to take care of them. And it might be a process. We don't have to expect ourselves to do everything perfectly right away, but we orient towards, how can I help heal the blockages in my relationships? This is from Maite. I found very painful to sense the future of my death, mainly because of not having been fully able to manifest and experience love fully. Here I felt a huge block to do this, and here the pain. How to overcome this block that I do not understand, to really give away all the love we carry within us. Thank you, Maite, for this question. So it's kind of a wake-up call, I think, when we contemplate our death and we see the things that are still unresolved, that we still want to do more deeply. And so for you, it's to manifest and experience love fully. So it's a beautiful aspiration that you're describing, and it's possible to do that. It's possible to heal whatever the blockages are, from opening fully to love, from fully expressing our love. And one of the things I love to practice and reflect on with others are the Brahma Viharas, the 4 elements of true love: loving kindness, compassion, appreciative joy, and equanimity or inclusiveness. So reading about these heart practices, as they're also known, can help to grow the heart. The heart can grow very vast. In fact, the Brahma Viharas are also called the 4 limitless minds, the boundless minds of love. So we each have this capacity in us of infinite love, boundless love, and it's possible to train that. We can grow our hearts every day. And that's what the Brahma Viharas help us to do. So I taught a course for Sangha Live. It ended in February, but it will be made available on demand at some point. And there's many good books about this. One is called Teachings on Love by Thich Nhat Hanh. But I would encourage you to do the loving kindness practices, karuna, compassion practices, to read, to train. And there's that course that's happening for free through the Barry Center for Buddhist Studies right now with John McCransky. And that's a wonderful course to develop compassion and a sense of love toward ourselves. And all those blockages can be healed and understood. So it's very good that you have a clear sense of what it is that's keeping you from this deeper, fuller expression. And working on that will, keeping that on the forefront of your practice will lead to results so that when you contemplate your death, you can feel more peaceful. So Caroline, thank you. Just put the link to this this course, this free course on compassion. I recommend it highly to everyone. So I'll answer Tanya's question, and then that's probably all we have time for. I became fearful and preoccupied with thoughts about my children, who both have disability, and who would care for them if I die early or suddenly. Do you have any suggestions on how to work with this anxiety? It's a really important question, Tanya. One of the practical things that I think we all should do is like write a will and make it clear, think about, what decisions we'd like people to make if we're unable to make decisions for ourselves in terms of resuscitation or extending life. But also, if we have children, to name someone or some people who we would trust, who could be caretakers for our children if we were to pass away. That's something that many parents do. It's not a bad thing to have a think about it when you have people that are dependent on you, especially if they have disabilities. So some little bit of preparation we can do, but of course, we can't control what's going to happen. Anything is possible. That's what Joseph Goldstein would say. We have to live as if anything is possible at any moment. We don't know who will die first. We don't know how that will come about. And so I think rather than worry, the energy of worry doesn't help us so much, but it's like, what can I do now to prepare my own mind so that I can die peacefully, and what can I do now to help my children be more prepared, or for those who I trust to be ready to care for them if there's a need. And what can I do to come to terms with the fact that I don't get to control this? I don't get to decide how it happens. It's really not in my hands. I can do some things, but I can't control the whole thing. There's a kind of fundamental reality that parents, caretakers have to come to terms with as far as their children, and that's that we can't protect them 100%. And that's a very painful realization. Just like as children with elderly parents, we can't protect them from what life might bring. We can help, we can support them, we can try to make sure they're not in pain. We can, try to get them good care, but we can't prevent their death. We can't prevent their illness, right? So we have to come to terms with the uncontrollability of life. That's one of the realities. But we can still use that understanding to live our lives deeply and joyfully and meaningfully, looking for all the ways we can bring joy to our children today. That's a good protection for them, nourishing their confidence, nourishing their self-love, nourishing their ability to get strength from nature and from their environment. These good seeds we can water in them, and that will be an important protection from them if we are taken away from them too early. So thank you for the wonderful questions today, and we'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow. And it may be our last time together tomorrow, we'll see. Much care to you all.